So, all right. What is up, everyone? This is Isaac with Hunger Smash Fitness coming to you once again with my amazing co-host, John, over at My Block Strongest Man. And today we have some absolutely phenomenal guests that we are bringing on. So we have Josh Hillen and Heather Corica.
Yep.
There you go. Winners of their categories at South Carolina Strongest. So maybe, Josh, since you've been on here a couple times, you kind of know the drill. I guess we'll start with you. How did you hear about South Carolina Strongest, and why? What got you interested in that show?
Well, for me, I started Strongman in North Carolina when I was in the Marine Corps, and it was huge there, right? Lynn Morehouse was putting on the best shows ever in Western North Carolina. And then we had Eastern North Carolina, Ashley Wood and Ann Wood. They had some decent shows in New Bern. And then I got stationed in South Carolina, and it was gone. There's no strongman anywhere. I couldn't find it. So when I got down there and I left, I could never find strongman. And then I finally got back into it in Indiana. I said, if they ever do a show in South Carolina again, I'm going to be there the first time I see it. And this was the first time I look every time. Every time I look, I'm like, hey, is there a show in South Carolina? They finally had one. And so I had to be there.
Nice. Yeah, that's kind of how, because I'm living in Washington right now, and there's not much out here. You know, currently there's 2 shows per year, and one of them is technically out of Idaho, but they hopped the border to do it at the convention center in Spokane. Yeah. So yeah, kind of the same deal. There's just not much out here. What about you, Heather? What got you into strongman? I guess we've discussed Josh's background a little bit with him in the past, but what about you? What got you into strongman, and what got you into South Carolina Strongest?
So strongman in general, I played softball my whole life. I played throughout college, and after I graduated, I kind of got into fitness and got into the gym, but never really had like a goal or like that competitive aspect that I was craving for a while. So honestly, I found strongman through Instagram and just was like, oh, that looks kind of cool. It's like athletic. You have to be athletic, but strong, obviously. So I feel like it kind of gives you the best of both worlds and kind of satisfies that competitive like aspect that I have inside. And then I actually moved to North Carolina in December for a travel job. And I kind of was just looking for a competition in the area, and I'm doing nationals in June. So I was looking for something in kind of in February, and it just kind of worked out that it looked like an awesome show, and it kind of worked out in my favor, the location. So
That's awesome. Yeah, I know a couple of my buddies have referred to strongman. It's like CrossFit, but with actual weight. It's like, not to diss on CrossFit. It's strongman, except without weight and a lot more running. So I don't know. We'll see. I prefer, 90 seconds is about as long as I want any of the events to go. I can't run for 3 miles anymore or anything like that, or whatever they do.
And Heather, how long ago was that you discovered Strongman on Instagram?
About a year ago.
Interesting.
Yeah, about a year.
So what all did you do for your prep for this show? So because if you're going to nationals, you have some experience at least with strongman. How was the prep for this one?
It was pretty good. I mean, I have a coach, and we talked about it. He just kind of wanted to. I didn't have that much time to really prep for it. So we kind of just, did what we could do within like 2 months, I guess. And I just kind of gave it my best shot, and worked out okay.
I'd say it worked out really well for you since you won. So were there any of the implements that it was a first time ever touching them, or a first time ever doing that event before? Or have you had some experience at least with most of the events?
The Denny, holds I only touched one time prior, and that was the event that I was probably not the most confident in and I did the best in, which was ironic, but that's okay. And then I never did a stone carry before. So I kind of I trained the best I could with that, but I never kind of did that in a competition yet. So that was completely new for me too.
Yeah, it's funny because you ended up winning Denny Hold, right? And this is an event that a lot of athletes didn't necessarily like so much.
Yeah, so the event I was most confident in was the wagon wheel, and that was the event that I did the worst on. But I think I was just cold. I sat for, I think it was about an hour, because that was also my first experience where they changed the order depending on how you did. I liked it, but it was definitely a learning curve for me, to kind of figure out how to stay warm if I do go last, and kind of what I need to do to prepare better. So I think I was just cold on deads. I think I had about an hour in between from when I warmed up to my actual pull. So
Josh, you've done a bunch of contests. What's your advice for staying warm in between attempts?
I like to space it out. I'll jump in at the really, really light weight at the beginning of the warm-ups, but depending on the amount of competitors there, usually when you're setting up for a deadlift, everyone wants time to warm up for the deadlift. Nobody wants to come in at 300. And when you're a super heavyweight, you got to get to 700. And well, the last weight I touched was 400. Here we go. So everyone takes their time and tries to climb up the ladder. And I space it out. I do make a little bit bigger jumps in my warm up. So, than I do in the gym. In the gym, I'll do really small jumps and work my way up. But at a contest, because of that amount of time that's usually set aside to warm up for a deadlift, I will space the jumps a lot bigger, just because you could warm up properly. And then, like you said, now you have an hour of waiting. And because you don't want to just keep touching that top weight over and over, you're going to burn yourself out. So I like to just space it out.
Do you have a preferred stopping point? Like, do you have a set? So with deadlift, do you stop your warm up like 100 pounds shy, 50 pounds shy, or do you just play it by contest and how you feel?
I like to play it by contest and how I feel, only because I'm not the world's greatest deadlifter by any means. So especially at this contest, the weight was really, really heavy for me. I had only pulled it for one at any time during the prep. Which I had only attempted at one time in the prep. And I just said, okay, at least I'm not going to zero. And so I stopped probably in the mid fives, I believe, and said, I'm just going to have to grit it out from there, because I knew that, ours was 680. I knew that going into the sixes was going to be really taxing. So I'd rather stay in the fives, make sure I'm good. And then I had just basically assumed that, okay, I'm getting one. That's all I'm getting. So I'll be fine for one good hard pull. I mean, I ended up getting three. So it's pretty good.
Yeah, that's not bad at all, because you got three, because it looks like, here, I can share this too, but it looks like Ryan got six.
I believe the guy got 5 in the 264 and below.
Because so it has Ryan got 6.
Oh, he did get 6. Okay.
Yeah,
he was a monster. He looked like he probably could have done more, to be honest with you.
But still, I mean, yeah, did he go first, or because that's a big jump between him and you?
I went last, so that's why I stopped at 3. I got second. I did not think that I could beat 6, so I stopped.
I don't know if there's a lot of people that can beat 6 necessarily, so I think that's a good place to stop as well.
That sounds like a similar strategy to what happened with Rob Kearney at the Arnold's with the dumbbell press.
Mm-hmm.
He knew he wasn't going to do twice as many reps, so just take second and conserve yourself.
Yep.
Well, and that's how Martins won the show. Was he got third a bunch of times and then got enough points saved up. So there you go. You don't have to get first every event.
That's
You
right.
can get second or third and do just fine.
Mm-hmm.
Let me see here. Let me pull this back up. So back up to Heather. Let me see. Where were you? I had a question I was just going to ask you there. So with the Circus dumbbell, because yours was an 80-pound Circus dumbbell for Heather?
Yep.
Okay. And it was a clean and press each rep, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay. How did you like that?
I do like Circus dumbbell. I was a little disappointed. I wanted 5, and my 5th one was pretty close, but I just couldn't lock it out. But 4 was it was pretty solid. I've hit 4 in training, and so that was like a little PR for me. But I like Circus dumbbell. I just can't. My left shoulder is ruined, so I can't do both presses. I envy those that can, but I can't.
So you're stuck with just the one arm with
Just
pressing.
the one. Yep.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. So what was your favorite event and what was your least favorite event with this contest?
Honestly, I love the Denny Stone, which
Really?
is probably very weird. Everybody hates it, but I loved it. I don't know if it's because I surprised myself with it. But I felt like I locked it in really well. And I hate Yoke with all my heart. No matter like how often I train Yoke, no matter what I do, it just never feels good to me. So Yoke, I can't stand Yoke.
Well, that's I think that's the exact opposite of what we heard last week when we had Caustin Sutton on. He said he had so many people writing comments about how much they hated the Denny Stones. So maybe you need to shoot him a message and be like, actually, the Denny Stones were all right. Let's do it again.
I don't think you see that. Well, at least in my experience, I haven't seen it in many comps yet. So I think I like doing things that are different than what everyone else is doing. So maybe that's another factor.
Yeah. Going back to Circus, though, I have a question. There's a lot of different techniques that go into a good Circus dumbbell press, and some people do it differently than others. Like, what do you kind of keep in mind technique-wise for Circus dumbbell press?
So I just try to keep my my elbow up. And try to lean to one side, like keeping my hip under that one shoulder. That gives me more leg drive. And when I lock it in and keep my elbow up, it kind of keeps my lats pretty tight. And I also try to keep my eye on the dumbbell. It works for me. That's one thing I've learned in Strongman is there's a lot of different techniques that work for different people. Like there's not one way to do everything. But I definitely felt on a couple of my reps, they were a little sloppy. But I think that was also nerves too. That was the first event and I was definitely pretty shaky, but it happens.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's good advice, keeping your eyes on it, because the one thing that can go awry the easiest with Circus dumbbell is it goes off center, on a tangent. So I think I'm going to try that. Like keeping your eyes on it, I think is really good advice.
So I was going to say, so you do kind of more of a traditional bent press with it, where you're leaning over more and you bring the dumbbell up and then bring your body up underneath it, or
not. I mean, there was I think 2 of my reps I pressed out more, so that was totally not intentional. but I've seen that where that works for some people where they kind of like almost like lean, and I don't know how they do it, but mine's not intentional. It just got away from me.
Yeah, Isaac, that's where I was going, bench press, because I've seen Evgeny Markov does that, for example. But yeah, Josh, have you ever tried that technique? Basically, you're probably familiar with it. Basically, like when you're lifting, you come out from under so that the dumbbell doesn't have to travel as far, and then you just stand up.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, like she said, tight lat, keeping the elbow high, and the hip underneath. The hip underneath is the key. You know, even if you start, like I start standing more straight up, and when I tore my shoulder. I can't really demonstrate on that side. When I start more straight up, when I go, I do absolutely pop for the catch. So, you know, because the Circus dumbbell, you know, it's a press. It's not really a press. It's how high can you jump, you know, and then you got to catch. So you got to get that hip underneath to stabilize and drop to catch that dumbbell. So, yeah, I mean, it's kind of a bent press, but you're launching it from a straight up position and catching it in that bent over position.
Interesting. Okay, cool.
Yeah, because I've tried doing like a traditional bent press before, and I think that's way harder. I think it's a lot easier to do a, you know, racket here and then do that hop and push and then just get back underneath it. So, I mean, you're shifting, like the weight is still staying over your feet and your head and shoulders are moving slightly to the side, but not, I can't do how a lot of the traditional strongmen do that bent press where their torso's over at a 90-degree angle and the weight's going up. And
I think a lot of it matters on how large the weight is as well, because when you're using that giant Rogue dumbbell, then it isn't over your feet anymore. It's just the sheer size of it. It's out a few inches, so you got to get under it.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I'm training with for Indiana Strongest right now, and we're using a Bartos bell, and it's a 12-inch big ball. I've never, with like almost a 3-inch handle, never handled anything like it, and it's that exact reason. I'm usually with another dumbbell, I can get my hand here. With that one, I'm almost all the way out here, and it's completely different.
So to put a rest to the controversy, are you resting on your shoulder or on your trap?
I go to my trap as every single time. I get as close to my trap as I can. If I've got a long bell, you'll see it on the other side of my head. I'll put it so far back.
You rest on your opposite trap to get it across. So do you prefer, because the globes are the round ones, and I forget what the others, they're called barrels or something like that. Drums. Yeah. So which one do you prefer?
Drums.
Okay.
Oh yeah, absolutely. The globe is harder to set. If you can get that angle between the center point on the outside and the bottom flat, if you can put it right, like I think it's like 45 degrees in between, and get that set perfectly on your neck, maybe you're going to get like a really comfortable press. And that's Martins just did it at the Arnold. The way he set it for me is very comfortable. I just have a really hard time getting it there.
Yeah, I was going to say, because watching the Arnold, seeing, you know, Martins has pretty good form with it, and Alexi has interesting form with it too. Some of the guys you could tell, I don't know if they hadn't trained much with the globe, or but they just couldn't get it set on their shoulder, and then you're wasting so much energy when you actually try and go for that press.
Yep.
You just don't have any energy left. And
so Alexi's just a clinic on dumbbell. Like,
yeah, well,
I talked about this on one of my other videos. Even like I never learned so much as I did watching him from the behind angle. Like he shoots his hip underneath the same, like instinctually every time. It's just, he's a clinic of dumbbell pressing.
Absolutely.
Well, and I don't think anyone else is going to be attempting 8 reps, you know, much less almost succeeding in getting 8 reps with that dumbbell. So, so Heather, you mentioned that you don't like the yoke much. Any specific reasoning behind that, or not?
I don't really know. I think I can never find, and maybe I just haven't found it. Just maybe it just hasn't clicked for me yet. Because that's something like you know, some movements and implements take longer for you to kind of get used to and click, and that could be the case. But I just feel like it's hard for me to stay tall. It kind of I kind of like lean forward still. And I just can't stay tight throughout the whole thing. So maybe that'll come in with time and experience, and the more, you know, I do the movement. I hope.
What was the implement that first got your attention in Strongman where you thought, I got to try that?
The log. I think it was actually Christy Sine that I saw. She was like the first I kind of saw on Instagram that I was like, "Ooh, that looks cool." And I think she was doing log. And then I had like a friend of a friend that competed, and I talked to him and kind of got started that way.
Yeah, she's Krispy Kremes, right?
Yes.
Yeah. She's got a lot of really good instructional stuff on YouTube too for people who haven't checked her out.
Yes, she's awesome. Somebody I definitely look up to in the sport and as a person.
And what about you, Josh? I guess what was the first implement that really caught your eye with Strongman? I think we asked you this last time too, but let's go for it again.
Actually, I don't think we did. Because for me it was an engine block.
We definitely did not talk about that.
Yeah, exactly.
We covered that.
You had a odd object load medley at I think the show was called Rage in the Cage in New Bern, North Carolina, and there was a fire hydrant, and there was a stone, there was a fire hydrant, there was an engine block, and then you had to finish on like a 4-step power stair. And the engine block for me was something I just absolutely could not load. And then come show day, I just threw it up there like it wasn't there. And I just felt so cool that I'm like, yeah, I'm just tossing, motors around. No big deal.
We got to get Josh over to some Strongman Champions League shows. They got some really cool implements there.
Yeah, that would be great. I mean, that's the goal, right?
Yeah. They have engines.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one thing I love about SCL is their implements that they pick are gorgeous. They're fun to watch, fun competitions, and yeah, absolutely amazing.
So Josh, I didn't even understand when I saw it the first time.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So Josh, with the yoke, we've asked several other people about this as well, but what is your preferred method with yoke? I know some people prefer, they want it, and so it's almost a squat, so they're picking it a good 4 or 5 inches off the ground. There's no risk of it catching. There's other people who say, they want it to barely be an inch off the ground, so minimal squat, barely a pick. What's your preferred setup with yoke?
Well, I literally changed it at the show. So I usually do a low bar pick where I can get at least 4 to 5 inches of clearance off the ground, and it would be a little bit lower. I mean, it's nowhere near an actual squat, but it's it'd be a little bit lower than like what I'm picking now. And then when I was warming up, I was like, oh God, this is awful. And then one of the guys, everybody's taller than me, so one of the guys had the pins set up like 1 or 2 higher than I did, and I said, well, we won't move it. I know I'm short, so I'll just get in there and warm up with what you guys got. And I picked it, and I ended up putting it high bar and lowering my hands a little bit for positioning to push out and forward with. And I think I maybe only had like 3 inches at most of ground clearance when I did that. And that was the most stable I have ever felt in my life. So that is what I do now. I do that high bar pick, and it's not necessarily about getting the squat motion to clear the ground anymore. Because I feel way more stable now. I only need about 2.5, 3 inches of clearance, and I feel confident I won't drop it.
Your traps must be bigger, because I've tried doing high bar with a yoke, and just because of the size of the bar on the yoke, it doesn't sit. And so I always do more of a low bar pick and then just bench press it around my body the entire time.
That's how I did it. That's how I used to do it. And then I mean, literally warming up at the show, I changed it, and it worked completely.
And then Heather, what are your thoughts on the same question?
I think I'm still trying to figure out what's most comfortable. I feel like I'm with Josh in the sense of I have like 4 to 5 inches off the ground because I might not be very confident yet in not dropping it. And I am trying to push against, like from the back, push against it to engage my lats and keep everything tight. But maybe I'll try what he's doing and see if that works better for me. I don't know. But at this comp, the yoke was very skinny compared to what I was training with. It was very thin. It was like a thin bar. So that could have affected my positioning a little bit too. Because I believe the yoke that the men were running with is the one I was practicing with. So that could have also needed some adjustment.
Interesting. And Josh, what do you do with breathing on a yoke run?
For that one, I think it was 60 feet. I'm holding my breath the whole run.
I was going to say, do you breathe?
Yeah, I get one big breath, I pick, and I go, and I just think, oh, don't let out, don't let out, don't let out, don't let out the whole time. Just that's all I'm thinking about, honestly.
I think that's a common answer. Aaron Stoney told me the same thing. Basically, if it's short enough, I'm not breathing.
Yeah. Keep the pressure. That first breath is always the best breath, and go forward as fast as you can. That way you can, exhale.
Well, if it's only for, 10 seconds, 15 seconds, anyone can hold their breath even when they're, exercising for that amount of time. I know when I do longer stuff, I'll do like a little top off breath where just a slight exhale and inhale every couple steps. But yeah, then you, like you said, you run the risk of collapsing in on yourself, and that's not very pleasant either. So, Josh, what was your opinion of the Denny Stones? Because as we said,
I loved it. Absolutely loved it. Was so excited. I've always wanted to do it. Like, I was so excited that I didn't even really train him properly. Like, at one point I was like, well, I mean, I want to pick up the Denny Stones. So I just started adding more and more weight. I got like within, I think the heaviest I ever went was like 405 in one hand, and whatever was like 14 pounds under the smaller stone. And I was like, oh, well, one day I'm going and I'm picking those things up. And so I was super pumped to have the Denny. And my grip is terrible, but it's the Denny Stones. Like, come on. That's exciting. That's awesome. Yeah, it hurts, but everything hurts in strongman.
Well, that's fantastic. Well, Caustin, if you're still watching this, there you go. Maybe you need to bring the Denny Stones back to the next competition as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
What do you two think? You want to do a hold next year or a walk?
Oh, I'm going to have to say walk just because I've never done it, and it would be cool to say I did it.
What about you, Heather? Do you have an opinion on that?
Give me a hold again.
Fair enough. Yeah, that's definitely something that I would love to try someday, is the Denny Stones. Did you see Kevin Farrah's attempt, the record breaker at the Arnold?
Yeah, that was amazing.
Oh my, that guy is a beast. I don't know how he does it.
290, weighs 290 pounds.
Yeah. He's the same weight as me, but he's almost 4 inches shorter, and pound for pound, he's about 4 times as strong as me.
Yeah. We'll just put that a freak for sure. Yeah.
And let's just say this: he went first. He didn't know what he had to beat.
Yeah, he just went. He
tried to leave the building with them. Like, he tried to walk through the crowd. I don't know where he was going.
Yeah. Well, I thought that was interesting about their setup too, is that, I mean, he really, when he passed the tape, he was about halfway to the crowd. Like, when he stopped, like I don't think they were ready for someone to go that far.
Yeah, like nobody thought 20 was attainable because that's all the tape went up to.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, because he went, it was like 25 feet and something inches. Like,
I got my notes somewhere. Give me a second.
that's insane. Like, especially considering the previous record was 14 feet and however many inches. Like
25 feet 8 inches.
That's crazy. That's 11 feet further than the previous record. So he almost doubled the existing record at the time. It's pretty good. So I guess, first of all, let's take this time. If you're watching this stream, please like the video and please comment, subscribe to my channel, all that stuff. As soon as you're done, head over to John's over at My Block Strongest Man. Give him a follow as well and watch all of his videos and like every single one of them because it really helps us out. Also, looking forward to next year, are there any events that you would really like to be added or any events that you would like to be taken away?
At South Carolina?
Yeah, South Carolina's.
Oh, no, I thought it was a really good, well-balanced show. Circus Dumbbell, I haven't personally in Indiana seen that too often, and then now I'm seeing it. I think we got it in Indiana Strongest, a Max Circus Dumbbell. I think last year there was one other event that had it, but you don't really see it too often because nobody really likes it. So I love that he had that in there. Yoke, I mean, a moving event, a grip event, a deadlift, and then of course finish it off with the stones. I mean, that's a balanced show to me. I thought it was really well done.
What about you, Heather? Are there any events that you would prefer to be added or taken away?
No, I mean, I think kind of what Josh said, it's very well balanced. I feel like sometimes, at least with the shows I've done, sometimes they can overdo it with the pressing. And there's more than one pressing event, and I think it's just too much. So I think kind of having a little bit of everything makes it more fun too.
Speaking of the stones as well, apparently there were some issues with them. Some people said that some of them were kind of crumbling a little bit. Or did either of you have any issues with the stones, or was it not on your mind at all?
No, I mean, I know one stone broke, but our stones were okay.
Isaac, it's on video. You can go ahead and blame him. Tim Buck said it. Tim Buck said it.
Hey, I got all the crumbling off that stone before Tim Buck even got close to it. All right. I went to the second stone. It took all my tacky off. I had nothing but paint and concrete on my arm, and I essentially picked up that third stone tackless. So it was, I mean, no complaints from me. Again, that's strongman. You're not always going to have, we're in a hobby level. We're amateurs. I'm glad Caustin got all the stones he got. I'm glad we had the equipment we had, and we made do. And I just, and that's the first stone event I've ever won. So there's no way I'm taking away from it.
That's what I was thinking in my mind. One day I was in the woods. I was lifting a natural stone, and I got stung by 12 bees. And I heard Josh's voice in my head, "That's Strongman."
I don't know about bees, but
yeah. I was gonna say, if you bug Caustin about it, maybe he'll throw some beehives in there as well. You can
extreme Strongman.
Yeah.
By the way, Josh, one of your good friends is in the comments.
Yeah, I was going to say, Albert Brand is watching this right now, and apparently he disagrees with you. You can never overdo it with pressing. So, I don't know. I mean, I kind of agree with you, Heather. I have ridiculously long arms, and so anytime there's a pressing event, I suck at it. I'm horrible at overhead. I prefer more of the deadlift and type, that type of thing, but I'm not Albert. So there we go.
Al likes the stones too.
Yeah. I do like stones. Yeah, stones are fun. So what about what's in your experience, what's the most exciting event that you've seen in the competition so far? Other than the engine block, Josh.
You mean just in South Carolina, or?
Oh, in any competition. What what's an event that you saw that just it looked amazing? You know, you love to do it.
For me, I really like power stairs. I think it's a really cool looking event. If you get the right setup, right, like the really wide steps, the really high steps, you got these T-bar handles all at the bottom. If you stack the plates or you get the implements, they look huge. The guys got to spread their legs all the way out to grab it, and then I mean they're hopping, they're jumping, and or they're not, and you can really tell the difference in strength with the power stairs, because you'll have guys that are just picking it up, leaning and trying to edge it on and then roll it a little, push it a little bit. And then you've got guys that are just bunny hopping, up, all the way up. And I think it's fun to watch who's going to be the fastest.
You know what's interesting to me about power stairs? I think it's a lot of people's favorite, and it's so close to something that's everybody's most hated event, which is duck walk. So, because with duck walk, because of the pattern of you walking, it's knocking into you. But with power stairs, it's one at a time, so it's not knocking into you. So it goes from like most hated to most loved. It's amazing.
I was just gonna say the same thing, John. They're very similar and drastically different opinions on both movements. But what about you, Heather? What's the most fun event that you've been able to do so far?
Well, I haven't done, which I really want to do. I've never done a Conan's wheel. And that looks, I don't know, it looks kind of fun, but kind of torturous. So like, I want to see how it feels.
If you like to die, go ahead.
Yeah, I guess we all like this sport. We kind of like a little pain, But yeah, Conan's wheel I haven't done yet. And I think that would be pretty cool to try.
So when you buy a Conan's wheel apparatus, do you have to buy like a protractor too, so you can measure the degrees and put it in the middle? Is that how it works?
That I have no idea.
Every time I see that event done, I see like it measured in degrees instead of anything else. So I'm like, how are they measuring the degrees? I want to know this.
I honestly have no idea how they measure that. I'm assuming, I don't know. I would assume that the easiest way to measure it would be distance and get one of those, I forget what it's called, one of the wheels on the handle, and you can just attach it to the end of the Conan's wheel, and as it goes around, it'll measure the feet that you've gone or something like that. But I don't know how they measure the degrees with it. That's outside my knowledge base.
Isaac sticks to physics. He doesn't do trigonometry.
Yeah.
Well, you know that if you make it to where you started, that's 360 degrees.
There you go. Now we're getting somewhere. We got a mathematician in the house.
Yeah, then you just have to break down each angle in between that. So there you go. You're almost there. Oh man. So do you have any big competitions coming up? I know Heather, you said you're going to nationals. Do you have anything else in between that you're shooting for?
No, I think I'm just focusing on that. It's at the end of June. So I don't want to do anything in between. I just kind of want to make sure I take the time to prepare. And work really hard so I have a good performance. The events in nationals, some of them I haven't done yet. So that should be fun.
And that one's USS, right, in June?
Yes. Mm-hmm. And I don't think they announced Strongman Corp yet.
I haven't heard.
But depending on when that is, I might do that too.
Haven't done them in competition, or you haven't trained them at all either?
Haven't trained them at all. Like one is a crucifix carry. I don't even know who has one. Still working on finding that out. An odd object press medley. Josh, there you go. Farmers holds, stone to shoulder, which is also new for me. I haven't really done that. I worked with a sandbag the other day just to kind of get the motion down a little bit. and then I forget the last one, but
Is it a natural stone or an Atlas stone to shoulder?
I believe it's an Atlas stone. Yeah, but no tacky or anything. So yeah.
Yeah, stone to shoulder, it can be fun, but it can also be really miserable if, especially, I feel like Atlas stones are a little bit easier because it's always the same every time, whereas natural stones can be easier based on where the grips are, or could be significantly harder based on where the grips are. So yeah, I don't know. What about you, Josh? Any big competitions coming up?
Well, Indiana's Strongest Man, April 2nd. I really didn't want to do anything between South Carolina and Strongman Corps Nationals. It's my first time I've ever qualified for Strongman Corps Nationals, so I really wanted to go all in. You know, being 250 pounds in a super heavyweight class I'm going to have to really, really put in some work. And but then it's Christina Bangman's show, so you know it's going to be a well-run show. And I had won it the last time that we ran it, and I just felt like, well, I have to go. You know, it's my title. I don't want to lose it, so I need to go and try to keep it. And then absolutely nothing until Strongman Corps. I promised my wife.
Do you know what events are at the Indiana's?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. You start with the max Circus dumbbell, 3 attempts, Wessel's rules there. Deadlift for reps at 585 for my class. This is a crazy yoke run. I've never seen anything like this. I'm very excited for it. You have to run the yoke 3 times. It starts off at 620. Load your own weight to 670. Run it back down. Load your own weight again to 720. Run it back down, and then you're done. I have no idea how that's going to go.
Is it a 25-foot course or a 50?
Oh, no, it's 50.
It's 50?
Oh, it's 50, yeah.
That's going to take like a couple minutes.
Christina likes to break you off, yeah.
Oh, man. So are they at least going to have like a plate tree with the plates ready, or do you have to run out into the crowd to get your own plates?
No clue. I'm hoping they're laying right where they need to be is what I'm hoping for, but we'll see. Then you got sandbag toss and stone of steel over bar for reps.
How do you like the stone of steel? I've never tried one, and it just looks.
I love it. You need tacky towel.
Yeah.
That's, you know, if you want to put some real weight up, you're gonna need to use tacky towel. Like I usually train Atlas stones tackless and can usually get into the low 300s. And I've almost lapped a 350 tackless, but stone of steel, I'm lucky to get like 200. You know, it's pretty slick. It's pretty hard. You know, you got to get tacky towel in there.
Man, yeah, I'd like to try one at some point, but it just looks, I don't know, it just looks different, I guess. I don't know if it's necessarily harder than a regular Atlas stone or not, but I don't know.
I mean, it's different, you know, with an Atlas stone, when you load up on tacky and you can double over a stone and basically just lift your arms like a crane. You can't do that with a stone of steel. You know, you still have to stay almost parallel to the floor and load it that way, which is harder for me. You know, I'm 5'7". So when I have to hug it, I have to basically lean all the way back to get it over, no matter what the height is.
Do you know what the height's going to be at Indiana's?
I think it's 50 inches, 50 or 52. So, I mean, for everyone else, it's like their belly button. Yeah, I'm short. I'm just gonna.
Yeah, it's like chin height for you, right? It's right about, you know,
shit, basically.
Chin height, yeah. So does the beard ever get in the way with that sort of thing? With the stones, you roll it up over your beard?
So far, not with stones or the stone of steel. The only thing my beard has ever got caught on is a log, and I had cleaned it and rolled it, and I felt like, wow, this is a really good clean. And it had rolled so smoothly that it rolled right into my beard and actually pulled my face into the log to where I basically just headbutted it. And I was like, oh, I ended up cutting an inch off my beard the next day. It's like, well, I can't let that happen again. That was awful.
I mean, you could split your beard and move it out of the way somehow, I guess. But yeah, there you go. Yeah, I don't know if that would work very well either way.
No idea. I've never tried it. Maybe I should.
Oh man, you're muted, John.
Sorry, Josh. I was wondering. You used to be farm strength, right? And then at one point you transformed into pocket Viking. Tell us about this journey.
Well, I named it Farm Strength because, I have a small business, 3 apple farms. I sell grass-finished beef and everything running into pork and chicken next. But at one of Chris Vaccio's show, it's like the heaviest amateur show in the world. It was there was someone there that when I was lining up for the deadlift and with my hair and my beard and everything, she was like, wow, he looks like a Viking. And I always like to make fun of how short I am so I can beat everyone else to it. And I said, yeah, like a pocket Viking. And then everyone laughed and kind of just stuck. And I love it. I'm good with it. I just run with it. So I was like, hey, I'm going to change the handle on Instagram. And here we go. I'm the pocket Viking.
It's clever. I like it.
Yeah. Maybe my size Viking. Maybe that's where we go.
Heather, what's your nickname? Do you have one yet?
Not yet. No.
Gotta wait for someone to give you one?
Yeah.
Cool.
It'll probably happen if you stick in the sport long enough, I think. I think it'll come about.
So, Josh, I finally found a log in the forest that I want to finish into a lifting log. I'm going to make sure not to grow my beard out as much as you did.
Definitely don't do that. It did not feel good at all.
So, and Josh, I wanted to ask you, have you trained much on like wooden logs, or do you primarily use steel logs, or do you have a preference for either or?
I used at that same show that I got my nickname. Chris Vaccio has a Slater log, and that's the first time I had ever touched a wood log in my life, and it was completely different. I don't know if I would prefer one over the other. I just learned that the clean technique for me changed. With the steel log, if the cutouts are right, you can put your forearms down and really shove your elbows up to get that log to your chest. With that Slater log, and I'm small, but I have very large, fat hands. I put it in and grabbed the handle, and that was it. I had no room for anything else. It was my hands were almost touching top and bottom of that insert, and I could not get my forearms underneath at all. And so it had completely changed the clean technique and ruined my log press, where I was pressing, for that contest, I was prepping. I was really hoping for a 400-pound log. I ended up missing 365 because the clean I had to work so hard to get that thing up to my face. By the time it got there, I had nothing left. So I don't know if I'd prefer it, because like I always say, it's strongman. You got to be able to go with whatever's there. But I will, let's just say I do prefer getting my elbows in. So if a wooden log, if I can put my elbows in, we're good. Steel log, good. If I can only use my hands, I'm going to be upset.
And I wanted to ask you too. So do you prefer a regular deadlift or wagon wheel deadlift? Because wagon wheel is mid-thigh for you, so it's almost locking out.
It's not mid-thigh. That is a 13-inch deadlift. It's the weakest position for me ever. I am cursed with, actually, I'm short, right? I'm 5'7", but my limb length is measured out to match someone who is 6'1", right? So I have that. Everyone says, oh, you're good at pressing because you have short arms. Well, no, I don't. Oh, you're good at deadlift because you're closer to the ground. No, I'm not. I have really long legs and a short torso. So I have, I've got that same thing with the legs going. So it is not mid-thigh. All right. Not at all. Even an 18-inch deadlift is not above my knee.
You must bring something out in Isaac because he's nice to everybody else.
I'm easy to pick on.
It's only with return guests that I start to pick on them a little bit. Yeah. No, we had the comment in the right here from Shelly Kaiser who said short but mighty, and so I decided to throw it out.
That's my mother. Hi, Mom.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
I thought it was
I'm in the
awesome.
club with Josh. I'm 5'8", so we're buddies.
Yeah, we're best friends.
I think he has you beat in weight though by a little bit at least,
and in strength by a lot of bit.
Yeah, a lot of bit. Oh, and Albert's back, and he says is pretty close to mid thigh.
Yeah, he never lets one joke get by ever. I'll just say that. I love Albert, all the respect in the world, but it's nonstop.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, with him though, 18-inch deadlift is still below his knees, so he's on the other end of the spectrum.
He's a very large man. Yeah.
Yes, he is. So, what about you, Heather? Have you done much with wooden logs or steel logs, or do you have preferred one or the other?
I've never used a wooden one, and I haven't touched a log probably in like 6 months, maybe. It just hasn't been in any competitions I've done recently. I did a seminar in December and just kind of worked on form with it, but that was the last time I touched one. I never used the wooden one though, so not really sure how that would feel different.
What's the most shall we say interesting implement that both of you have had to train with? Because I know like from my experience, the most interesting yoke that I had to train with was something that someone had handcrafted out of some steel I-beams and just kind of welded and bolted things together to make this yoke. And empty, I think it's like 550 pounds or something like that. And it's awkward and miserable and kind of rattles when you pick it up. But I guess it's kind of fun to train with. So what about with you? What's the most interesting implement that you guys have had to train for a comp?
For me, I would say at Indiana Strong, Christina Bangman's gym, she's got a Husafell stone. It's either 200 or 250 empty, but it's really not that big a deal. But it's so thick and tall that it is like there's no way for it to clear you. Like you can't get it high enough to clear your waistline. Really, really hard to train with. And that's the reason why I like it, was because when I train with it, every time I go to a show, nobody has a Husafell stone that's as hard as that one. So I'm like, oh, this is a breeze. This is such a break, oh my gosh. Yeah. So for me, that would definitely be her Husafell stone she has.
That's interesting. I know I haven't done Husafell much, but it's I don't know. One of the ones I've trained with had some fairly sharp edges on it, and so the first time you pick it up, it just cuts right into your forearms. And so I learned pretty quickly, like, oh, that's stone sleeves are really good for multiple other things as well. What about you, Heather?
I've trained a lot with like customized like farmers. I haven't really like different lengths, different weights, different handles. Other than that, everything's kind of been pretty standard, I think. But a lot of different farmers handles, knurling, no knurling, heavy, light, different loads. But everything else pretty standard.
Do you have a preferred style of farmer's handle that you like to train with?
I don't know if it like a lot of people like knurling. I don't. Like, I don't know. With holds, I should say. Because I learned I have kind of big hands. And like with the Denny's, like I was able to like kind of grip my thumb under, and that's how I was able to like hold it for a while, I think. But the knurling, because I have farmers holds for nationals, it just hurts. Like, and that's the worst part. So I like smooth handles. I don't know if that's weird, but
I think
no, that's what I'm always saying. Do you have the Titan Fitness ones?
I have no idea.
That's what I have, and they hurt.
No idea. I just pick things up and put them down,
Nice, like the commercial.
Yep.
Isn't that what Strongman's all about? You pick it up and put it down, or pick it up and throw it.
So Isaac knows me well enough. Now I got to go get it and show it to you.
There you go. Go get your farmer's handles.
Oh my
Yeah, I was gonna say, I don't know if I've seen any comps, I don't think, that have knurled farmer's handles. I think usually it's a smooth one, or I think once I've seen them where they put like athletic tape over it, but everybody hated that. So I don't know. I think he's actually going to go get his farmer's handles.
Is it this one?
Yeah, I've trained with those. Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That's his pride and joy right now. That's
oh no, you want to see my pride and joy? I'll get my log. You keep talking.
Okay, there you go. What about you, Josh? Have you done much with knurled farmer's handles before?
Never. I don't think ever. I've done athletic tape, but I've never trained with anything with knurling for farmers, and sounds like I never want to.
I think the one time, because my buddy had a pair that we tried out, and I think the initial pick is just a little bit easier with them. But as soon as you put them down, trying to do a repick, your hands are just so raw. It just, I don't know. I hated it. I think it's a lot harder. There's your
look at that thing.
Have you been keeping that outside, John?
Yeah, it's wet. It was outside. It's raining.
Fair enough. Now it's inside. Keep it dry.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, just for a minute, because I don't want my wife to see it.
No.
Yeah. Hey, bye, log.
I mean, you're on video evidence now. This was not. You didn't think this through, John.
Yeah, right. I don't think she watches the live streams, so we'll see. But oh man, so I guess too, while we have you on, what are your goals with Strongman? Do you have any big, like, 1,000-pound deadlift you want to hit, or anything like that, or just having fun with it?
For me, well, it's fun. It's always fun, but I do work out like it's a job. I absolutely, you guys know I've got my small business, I've got my family, I've got a full-time job, and then I go to the gym either really early in the morning or really late at night and just try to fit it in, that way I don't miss too much time with my family, because I already do. So it's got to mean something. I need to have goals. And for me, the one goal I've always said, and I'd be done forever if I could do it, is I just want to get to the level of contest. I don't think I'm ever going to be world's strongest man, right? But if I could just get to the contest where I got beaten by the world's strongest man, you know what I mean? Like, I'd be good with that. Like, just get me to that level where, like, that guy's like, oh, clearly he's going to go win worlds. Like, oh yeah, that's why I lost. He's just the world's strongest man. It's the only reason why he beat me.
So you want an excuse competition?
Yeah, sure, we'll call it that.
There you go. Well, the way like Josh is looking and stuff like that, some of those guys might end up at Worlds here sometime soon. We'll see. But so just get into one of those competitions. Just track and see where they sign up, and then just happen to sign up.
I'm
with
following
them.
Everyone. Yeah, I'm
there you go.
Saying. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I zeroed everything, but I was there. All right.
Yeah. No, that's like the joke goal, but the main goal is, like I started that Little Big Guy apparel company and everything, and so that's still the goal, is to be 5'7", 250, 260, and become a pro super heavyweight. Like, to show people that you don't have to be Brian Shaw, you don't even have to be as heavy as Kevin Ferris, and he's like really light. That you can still break through if you work hard enough, you get the right coach, you get the right diet, something, if you can just put your will to it, that you can get it done. That's my main goal, is just to become a pro super heavyweight.
That's a good goal. I can get behind that. What about you, Heather?
I think I would long-term love to be a pro middleweight. I don't know if that's out of reach or not, but it's definitely fun, and I try to think of it as like fun, but I really want to do well. And it's just that competitive drive that I have. You said like it's fun, it's great, but you want to win like at the end of the day, you know. So I think my long-term goal would be, to be a pro middleweight.
That's a good goal. I can respect that. Definitely. So John, we're at the 1 hour mark. John, are there any more questions that you had for them before we start wrapping everything up?
No, I don't think so. I mean, just as far as becoming a pro middleweight, anyone you're working with now that sort of has been in strongman longer that you can sort of learn from?
Well, my boyfriend, I met him through strongman. So it's awesome to have that support. And in training, he pushes me, and that's definitely very helpful. My community at the gym, just have a really good environment. And everybody there is really supportive. So those two things combined, I think my coach as well. They believe in me more than, I believe in myself. So as cliche as that is to say, I tend to underestimate my strength at times, and kind of don't know my own limits yet. So they definitely help me figure that out.
Awesome. And I don't know if you mentioned it while I was out of the room, but you want to give a shout out to your coach?
Oh, Scott Paltos.
Cool.
Yeah. So I guess we're at that point here. Do either of you have any sponsorships or individuals or anything that you'd like to shout out? Oh, we have one more comment here. Any advice or tips for going into a comp in 6 weeks? So I know who this is. So he has it's a clean and press away axle, deadlift ladder. Oh, I forget the other 3 events now. Drawing a blank. Sled pull and 2 others. But it's his it's a novice competition that he's going to. It's his first one ever. So anything that you think he should know for his first competition?
For me, what I would tell him is that, especially at the novice level, make sure you've got the technical points down, that you understand how to do the lifts, but you still need foundational building. We all do at the amateur level. You just need to focus on getting stronger, getting more explosive, getting faster, know how to do the lifts, and then show up on game day and give it your all.
That's good advice. What about you, Heather? Any pointers that you think he should keep in mind?
I would say just try to focus on, one event at a time, one rep at a time. When you are in the competition, personally, I'm very nervous, very anxious. But that's something that's helped me, is just try to focus on what's right in front of you, and kind of what you worked on, to prepare for that moment, and just have fun. Yep.
That's what I told him too. Is just give it, prepare as best you can, but just go and have fun. Just get your feet wet and figure out the sport. But yeah, so wrapping everything up though, any shout out to any sponsors that you have, or any your coach or anything like that, or Josh, I guess if you want to give a shout out to your businesses or a clothing brand, anything like that.
Yeah, no, I already name drop them. They're doing fine. I won't bother everybody with that. But a huge help for me has been in Wabash, Indiana, Neil Bever. I believe that's how Beaver or Bever, how you pronounce his last name. I always just called him Neil. I never really said his last name ever. He was Hoosier Chiropractic. Really great guy. Did a podcast with him. He brought me on and like worked on me, did everything, and kind of taught me a little bit more about the science and the human physiology and how it works with human mechanics, and really helped me and set my bones right and everything. So that's awesome. And then of course, I do have a new coach, John Mauser. He is a mad scientist. I never have experienced anything like this. He's improved me within 4 weeks time. I brought him on. My South Carolina strongest prep had plateaued. I was lost. I didn't know what to do. I reached out to him. We talked for a while. He took me on, and then he improved me in everything within all my plateaus. He broke them, and we're still breaking them now almost every week. And like I said, I tore my rotator cuff on the very first event, the Circus Dumbbell, and so now I'm training for a max for Indiana with my left side, and but I'm not slowing down. I'm not that far off now, and so John has been a huge part, and I expect him to remain a huge part with how well this is going.
Yeah, John Mauser is well known for being an innovator in strongman, for sure.
He's an amazing man.
Yeah. Isaac, can you share the screen I just put up, if you don't mind? So, Heather, is that the Scott Paltos that you talked about?
Oh, good Lord.
You're on mute, but I think you said yes.
Yeah, hubba.
Sorry. Yeah, that's my coach. He does a lot of different, he has a lot of different athletes. He's trained a couple pros. I believe he's trained with or coached Brian Shaw before.
Wow.
I don't know the whole history there, but very dynamic coach.
So the reason why I asked is you might be able to see on top, we're friends. He's in my network. I think we went to the same high school.
Okay.
Yeah, I believe we went to the same high school. Next time you see him, mention Tommy Nyland, my buddy. He'll know who he is.
Okay. Small world.
Yeah, it's funny.
Oh, that's awesome. So Heather, any shout outs to any sponsors that you have, or if you have a small business that you're running as well, anything like that?
Nope. No sponsors. Just my coach. That's really it.
Hey, that's still good. Any sponsors that you're hoping to partner with anytime soon, or nothing yet?
No, I don't. To be honest, I don't even really think about that. That would it would be awesome and be a bonus, but definitely not something I've even kind of thought about.
Yeah. And Josh, I did see that you're wearing a Kratos sweatshirt. Andrew's been on the show. John and I both love it. Yeah,
wow, I'm a dunce. Yeah, absolutely, Kratos. Guy's designing a new Pocket Viking logo for me. I asked him to.
Awesome.
I saw that one he did for one of Albert's athletes. I believe it's Stacia Munson.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, like basically Xena, the warrior princess, is crazy genetics, right? She had a cool logo that they gave her and everything like that. So I reached out to him, and so I wear his clothing all the time. I think I've got like 8 shirts now, and then he made my leggings with my Pocket Viking training logo on there. So yeah, Andrew's a great guy, great company, awesome clothes, good prices, love it. Kratos strength equipment. Absolutely. Can't wait till they start fabricating again, when the economy works out for that.
Yeah, I know steel prices made that really hard, but yeah, his clothing's definitely good quality. I have an Instagram post, if you haven't caught it yet, where I did a natural stone, how do you say, like not over bar because there's no bars in the woods, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
over a makeshift bar that I made. And so I picked up the stone. I go home, my forearms are all torn up, but the shirt was fine.
Oh yeah, high quality stuff. Absolutely.
Awesome. Oh,
I am actually wearing now that Norse Fitness.
Yes.
Norse Compound is where I train. Awesome gym, awesome equipment, awesome clothes. So gear too.
Yeah, I have some of their sleeves and wraps and stuff that I've had for 2 or 3 years, I think now, and they've held up fantastic. They're in amazing shape, and I use them every time I'm in the gym. So yeah, huge fan of their products as well. So, all right. Well, John, did you have any other questions that you wanted to ask, or any other final statements?
No, I'm all set.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you both for coming on. This has been fantastic. Josh, it was great to chat with you again. It's always fun to catch up. And Heather, it was awesome being able to meet you and catch up for the first time, I guess. So hopefully we'll have you on again sometime soon.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Everyone have a fantastic week, and we'll see you next Monday for our next live stream. So stay safe out there.
Ciao, homie.